Yeah, just wondering how you made your way to eventually be at Heart, and kind of what music was, you know, what music was happening in your household as a kid.
Yeah. Well, my parents have always been big music lovers, and some of my earliest musical memories were hearing Beethoven's Seventh Symphony, the second movement. Love that second movement. Um, and I must have been just a couple years old at the time. So that's some of my earliest musical memories. And my parents loved classical music and folk music, like Joan Baez and the Weavers. And I grew up on hearing all that. Also, East European and Greek and Israeli folk dance music. My parents were big folk dancers, and they used to hold these folk dance evenings at their house once a week in Minnesota. And I would stay up and try to listen to some of the music, even though I was supposed to be in bed. But it was fascinating music, and I think that has informed some of my compositional style today. Really do think that. Anyway, my parents started me on a little like early childhood music education class called the Yamaha Music School, and I went to weekly lessons, and I think it was just getting my feet wet with, listening to directions, maybe tapping out rhythms. There's just a little bit of keyboard there. And I think that was just about a year long. And then we moved to New Orleans, Louisiana, big culture shock for me. And when we got there, I was just about 8 years old, and my mother, I remember she came into the living room one day and announced to me, "We're going to start you on violin lessons." And I said, "Okay." And so I started with the Suzuki program. Connie Hagen was my teacher, wonderful teacher. And I stayed with her for about 10 years. And then I moved to another teacher my last year or two before I went off to college. And I always loved music and loved playing, and it was understood that I would practice every single day, except for my birthday. There was the one day a year I was released from practicing. Anyway, but so I had this, this good work ethic for practicing, and I did love music, and I did pretty well with the violin. When I was a junior in high school, I decided to enroll in the local arts high school called NOCA, or the New Orleans Center for the Creative Arts. And that was really an important turning point for me, because I was going not just from learning to play the violin and these little pieces, that was sort of my view of classical music. It just opened right up. I was meeting people for, playing all the different instruments from different backgrounds, and learning about music festivals and the world of conducting. And, it's a big world out there in classical music that I was just learning about. And I became more and more serious about it. And as a result of going to that school, I had become a composer, because the music theory teacher there, Dr. Bert Brough, was a composer himself. And he introduced me into composition. He put me in a little composition class and started encouraging me. And if it weren't for that experience, I don't know that I ever would have tried my hand at composing, because up to that point, I had never as much as heard of a woman composer. Of course, I hadn't played a piece by a woman composer, so it was completely not on my radar to actually write something original. So I actually owe the fact that I'm a composer to him, Dr. Brough.